You're about to see a 35mm print of this movie. I haven't seen this in 35mm in 25 years, so I hope, I mean, I hear it's good, but it's a very rare occurrence because, you know, it's out on DVD, but this is the original. We shot it in 35, obviously, and just screened it in a movie theater. Anybody have popcorn? You should be eating popcorn. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like. Now, let's get down to it. Anybody here drop acid in their lives? Hands? LSD? Acid?
Have you some?
Not me?
Yeah.
No, but in my hotel room. One person? Come on. That's it? How long ago did you do it?
Well, 8 years ago.
8 years. And you got 2 years before it kicks in.
And last year.
Last year?
Yes, and I read a lot of Timothy Leary books.
And that made you want to take acid by reading Timothy Leary? I like this guy. All right, so anyway, you're all familiar with the movie. How many have seen this movie? A lot of you. None of you. Oh, some of you. All right. Anyway, it was made in 1976, shot right after Squirm, came out in 77, and now it has an added level to it because it's a look back at the 70s in America, which I wasn't intending when I made the film. I was in the 70s in America. So it has that historical element to it, the disco and all that. I'll be doing a question and answer after this. This is the only film that I'll be doing that on because it's early. So write down your notes and I'll see you after the screening. Thanks.
1967. Doctors and scientists predicted it. Blue sunshine.
Did you ever hear the words blue sunshine back in school?
Jerry didn't do this. Like this.
Sick!
One man must solve the mystery. The victims. Wendy Fleming, divorcee.
Wendy!
Blue sunshine. John O'Malley, Lieutenant, Los Angeles Police Department. Blue sunshine. Franny Scott, photographer.
Hey, wait a minute.
Blue sunshine. Wayne Mulligan, campaign manager. Blue sunshine. Dr. David Bloom,
Kelly.
resident surgeon.
Give me a sponge. I said a long instrument.
1977. The nightmare has begun. Blue sunshine. Blue sunshine. It could happen to you.
Je peux si jamais traduire les questions si vous voulez les poser en français. Le débat est ouvert. Qui aimerait prendre la parole?
Okay. Well, settle down.
Faites-nous signe.
Watch out, this guy's getting a boner.
I'm way ahead of you.
maybe I can ask a first question to...
Yeah, what?
Can I ask a first question?
Yes.
No, it's just out of curiosity, wanted to know if you had had any particular strange reaction from different people regarding the film. For example, anti-drug groups or wig manufacturers or bald people.
Actually, what happened was, you know, at the end of the movie, it says 250 doses, which it's bullshit, right? But in the newspaper, when the movie was opening, they wrote that as fact. It was news. It wasn't, this is what this movie's about, is there's this acid going, you know, that was made as a delayed reaction. I said, I'm not going to believe anything I read in the newspaper if they would write that. And since then, I haven't. So, any questions out there in TV land? That's it?
Okay.
S'il est possible de traduire.
Oui.
Oh, yeah.
Est-ce qu'il a bien conscience que des enfants qui crient la musique disco et Fred Astaire, il n'y a pas besoin de retour d'acide pour avoir mal à la tête et pour que ça te transforme en quelqu'un de très agressif?
So are you aware that you don't have to listen to children screaming, listen to disco music and listen to Fred Astaire to become a little crazy?
Yeah, no, you know, the funny thing about the disco thing was that this was before Saturday Night Fever that really blew up disco, right? So nobody heard of disco yet in the States. The United States version, there was discotheques, you know, and so I even, when we shot this in California, that was like a cowboy bar, a Western bar. And I had to explain what a disco, the booth with a DJ, I had to tell that guy what a DJ does and all of that. We made disco music, and after the movie, maybe that was 77, 2 years later, somebody tells me, oh, there's a place called CBGB's in the East Village, on the Bowery, and there's a group called the Ramones. And the Ramones love your movie, and they play, and they have that scene, the disco scene, in all the monitors. And the reason is, the punk movement was starting, and they were saying disco sucks, and I made the first disco sucks movie, only I didn't know it. I had nothing, you know. So, to this day, they think that that's the case.
Is there any political innuendo intended from your part in the movie, which I don't get?
Which you don't get?
Yes, is it? Did you intend to put something political in it because of the?
Oh yeah, the fact. I mean, everything is political, but this guy's running for Congress, and he used to be a dealer, and I wouldn't be surprised if you found out the same kind of thing from any politician.
But
you know.
You shot that during the Ford administration, right?
77 is... No, I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't thinking on those terms. I'm just saying all politicians, not who's in office at the time. I don't give a shit who's in office. It's all the same guys. You know, like Ed Fleming. In fact, you know the speeches that he was making? He took them from Eisenhower. Word for word. So, you know, put people full unemployment, it's time to get America. It was straight out of Ike Eisenhower. And it sounds like the same bullshit that Obama says. There's no difference. Anything?
Other question?
Oh.
Why did you call the drug and the movie Blue Sunshine?
Good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. Give her a Cupid doll. No, seriously, it's an obvious question. Nobody. You know, all these drugs. Like now, they have this new thing, bath salts, and it's not really bath salts; it's synthetic acid. They gave names to all the LSDs back then. It was so I wrote them all down on a pad. There was Owsley Purple. There was Orange Sunshine. There was this, that, and I just drew arrows. I just mixed and matched the different words to come up with one that sounded like the best title for a movie. And that's it. See how easy it is to make movies? Anything? Come on.
Pourquoi ne pas faire un remake, mais qui prendrait pour thème la ritaline, c'est-à-dire en fait l'espèce de truc qui donne aux enfants pour rester calme. On ne sait pas ce que ça va donner dans quelques années, ça.
Suggesting that you make a remake using something called in French Ritaline, which is given to hyperactive kids. We don't know the effects of that yet.
I'll sue you. I have been, people talk about a remake of this movie, and this guy, Peter Weber, made a movie called The Girl with the Pearl Earring with Scarlett Johansson. And they took him out to Hollywood, and because they said maybe this movie will be a big hit because of Scarlett Johansson, and if it is, then Peter Weber, the director, will be a big deal. So they asked him, what would you like to do next? And of all things, he said, I'd like to do a remake of Blue Sunshine. And the studio optioned it, for a lot of money. And so I said to Peter, I'm assuming that if you do a remake, it would be the drugs, the party drugs of the 90s, late 90s, and all those designer drugs, the Quaalude era, where they just had all these different names for designer drugs, and then you'd have a similar story for the next generation. But he went off, soon after that, he did a Hannibal Lecter, he went off and did a Hannibal Lecter prequel or something, and the rights expired. But it definitely could be a remake. So.
But this time you should target the chemical industry, not the drug dealers.
What's that?
You should target the chemical industry with this story and not the drug dealers.
Yeah, well, no, what we were going to do is both. That's smart, because what we were going to do is make it that the drug itself has very positive aspects, right? But and so the people, like for instance, say it was Quaaludes, and everybody it's a feel-good drug. Then they find out that it has a delayed reaction. So that was part of Peter's thing, that both the police and the drug company wants to keep this quiet for that again. So because we were envisioning, you know how they have TV commercials now for drugs? And have the commercial on the TV while somebody's killing somebody, So.
I have one. At one point, the U.S. government was stigmatizing people who use drugs or hippies or others as being dangerous people, criminals. And an interesting thing here is that it's 10 years later when they've become, respectable citizens and they're integrated in society, that they become dangerous. Is there more than irony behind that?
It's irony, yeah. It's the old, I don't know what you call it, but like 10 years later, the sins of your youth come back to bite you in the ass, and we all have that in different degrees, whether you decided not to go to college or whatever it is. This was the ultimate bad move, is taking acid. I gotta tell you, I did LSD and scared the crap out of me doing it. The enormity. I took LSD when it was still legal. So it was pure LSD 25. It's not the stuff that they made in the street. It's the stuff that Tim Leary, those guys were doing. And this stuff, I'll just give you an example. The entire sky, I'm a visual person to begin with. Just picture the entire sky, 180 degrees, like a dome made out of Coca-Cola bottle caps. I saw that perfectly. What that would look like, I saw it like, there's no CGI that could match what I saw. So it's a very, very, I would never do it again, but I'm glad I did it. Because look at all the movies I made and the money I made. So I attribute it all to being crazy from LSD.
Do you believe that this movie should work as a morality tale?
No.
No. Just
No.
A cautionary tale then?
No, no. And, you know, and that's funny because a lot of people saw that, and I just thought it was a goof to screw around with my own generation who is going from hippies to straight life. I saw it happening, and just to torture them. But it was not in any way a morality tale. I wasn't saying don't do acid. I was just making an entertaining. The first thing you do if you're going to make a movie is make an entertaining movie. That's first, second, and third. And then if you have like a message, it's a takeaway. It's something people talk about in a coffee shop or talk about a month later, in this case 35 years later. But you got to make it entertaining. So that's what I always try to do. Add a little something in there, food for thought. You could argue about it, say it sucks, as long as you see it. That gentleman right there, he's not even looking at me.
Is there a question?
No, him.
The bold one.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually I thought it was even better than I remembered. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I liked it enough at the time. I think it's amazing piece of work. Sorry, that's not working.
Thank you.
Okay, and but there are many questions I have. But one I just like a small one actually. Was it your intention? I love the scene in the disco when she turns on the music, makes him crazy. Was it your intention then to go silent for a while? Because I thought it was highly effective the way the soundtrack then goes almost.
Remember we were talking last night about the loudest sound in the movie used correctly is dead silence. And if you guys like tonight, if you're interested, I did the third movie they're showing in mine. It's Just Before Dawn. It's gonna be light. It'll be over just before dawn. I have a scene where there's usually in the conventional horror, scary movies, the music tells you how to think, tells you when to be scared, scares you with stings and stuff. I don't like that. So there's one sequence where the music cuts out completely, but the crickets, the cicadas are going. And then when the cicadas suddenly stop and it's dead silent. And to me, if you're in the woods, that's the scariest sound in the world, when crickets stop and it's silent, because that means there's a big animal or a person or a murderer right nearby. And I find that is the loudest sound used effectively is dead silence. And I like that for a quote.
It also prefigures the zombie movies. No?
Oh, you mean
yeah,
the mall?
Yeah,
the
kind of the gestures of the murder.
Yeah, pretty much any decent movie since '77 directly ripped off Blue Sunshine. No, I know that George Romero, what was it, Dawn of the Dead with the mall, the shopping mall? Well, this was done before that, so screw you, George. Anything?
Est-ce qu'il a eu des réactions à l'époque des gens qui consommaient du LSD?
Do you have any reactions at the time of people who were using LSD?
Reactions from people?
Yeah.
They loved it. You see, that's the thing about the drug. I'm part of the drug culture. They have a great sense of humor about everything. That's like, you know, you ever hear the expression uptight? They're the opposite. So they thought this was a riot. You know, they didn't take this like a cautionary tale or anything like that. They just thought it was, they laughed their asses off. That's it. You're thinking.
Do you want to tell us something about your use of sound? I mean, I really like the scenes where there seems to be a real interaction between the strange sounds we hear and the state of mind of the protagonist. I'm thinking, for example, the scene where Zipkin goes into this place where the murders were committed,
Oh, the flashback, yeah, with the dog. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the hell it came up. I may not remember it, but oh, by the way, that house that he goes into, the Nightmare on Elm Street was on that block. They shot years later. I found this out from the horror people. Said, did you know that 3 houses away, that's a famous house? But as far as the stuff going on in his head, I was going through my like Truffaut, like this period, like if you notice, like all the Godard, you know, because I worked at Janus Film, so you see all these like 360-degree thing and whip pan from Costa Gavras. I was like, this was my film school. You know, I was using all these things. Sometimes it works, sometimes like heavy-handed, you know. So I think I saw a movie where somebody was recreating something in your mind for that thing. But then Zalman going crazy like that, you know, just. By the way, everybody know that the parrot was me? That was me. Saved money.
Maybe you just want to say a few words about Just Before Dawn that we're going to screen later on to make them want to go and see it.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to see the movie that most people say is my best movie, I have no freaking idea. If the print is good, it's a good movie. And where is it? At the Apollo 1?
I'll just check you.
Yeah, it's tonight. So if you stay up, it's called Just Before Dawn. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but again, it was made in 1980, and every Kids in the Woods movie was fashioned after this. Now everybody says that it was Texas Chainsaw Murders and The Hills Have Eyes, that I ripped them off, and the only problem with that theory is that I never saw those movies, and to this day.
Oh, you still haven't?
No, I don't see it now because then you say, well, you have seen it. But I told Toby Hooper, you know, because he said, is that true? You never? I said, it's not your movie. It's just the fact that all these experts saying I ripped it off. Well, how could I rip it off if I didn't see it? So why, you know, it's nothing personal. So, but it's screening tonight at what time?
At
midnight. Midnight. Stay up. The Apollo 1 across the street or down the way. Okay?
Yeah, I think we're going to stop here.
Okay, thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you very much.